Good morning students, welcome back to the class 11 subject business study, and we are going with the chapter number 7 sources of business finance. In that we have covered the topics of business finance, then we have gone with the earlier topics as owners fund. In owners fund we have studied about equity shares, preference share, retained earning, then GDRs, ADRs and IDRs. All the topics are being discussed in detail, where we have to make sure that the equity shareholder, preference shareholder gets dividend. They are the persons who receive dividend. They have been given the money in the business to occur more and more accurate. Once the owner's fund is over, then we are going with the new topic considered as borrowed funds. Your title borrowed funds ultimately says that you have to borrow from the market. How these borrowings are being occurred, we have to study in this topic. So borrowing funds are nothing but raising funds for the long period of time, and we have to pay a specific period, we have to pay an interest to the holders of borrowing funds who have given the money for the borrowing fund purpose. So let's begin with the borrowing funds. In borrowing funds, we have to study first debentures and bonds. What is debenture? What is bonds? We will study in detail one by one. So I have made the points for you to make an understand that what it is exactly. The first point itself says that it is an important instrument for raising funds for long-term debt capital. Debentures and bonds are those instruments which are being used for borrowing purpose from the market. This borrowing is ultimately being taken for the longer period of time, not for the short period of time. As in accounts also you have studied about long-term borrowings, short-term borrowings. This is ultimately debentures and bonds are long-term borrowings. Long-term borrowings means it will take more than 1 year, and it has been continued to used by the company as a long-term debt capital. They use this money, but while using this money, they have to provide interest to the debenture holder or bond holder. Now, what definition is there? This definition cannot be changed by any word. It has to be written as it is, because this has been given by the section 230 of Companies Act 2013. If any definition which are being mentioned in your book, it has to be written as it is. There should not be no Roman word, there should not be any shortcuts, there should be perfect writing. If you know, then it's okay. If not, then you should follow this. Now, according to this section 230 of Companies Act 2013, it says that debenture includes debenture stock. Debenture includes debenture stock, bonds, and any other instrument of a company evidencing a debt, whether constituting a charge on the assets of company or not. According to this definition, it is been said that debentures are those things which includes debenture stock, bonds, or any other instrument which are being used to raise funds from the market as borrowing funds of a company, which shows that means evidencing, which shows that it is a debt for the company. Debt for the company means you have to pay in the end. After a period of time or at the time of wind up, you have to pay that money, whether the constitution on a charge of assets. Debentures can be given on the particular assets or they cannot be. It is mentioned here only, charge on the assets of the company or not. मैं अगर कुछ आपको देता हूँ, for example, if I am giving you money, then I require certain securities. These securities are ultimately charged on assets. This security is assured because if you do not pay the money to me, then I can take care of that particular assets and I'll take it with my respected terms and I'll sell it in the market. It is considered as charge on assets. तो यहाँ पर अब मैं जब बात करता हूँ तो एक चीज़ आपको समझा दूँ कि डिबेंचर होल्डर्स जो होते हैं उनको रेगुलर इंटरेस्ट मिलता है, ना कि डिविडेंड। हमने पढ़ा है डिविडेंड इन इक्विटी एंड प्रेफरेंस शेयर, बट हियर इन डिबेंचर होल्डर गेट्स रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट एवरी ईयर और एवरी 6 months. Be careful with these words. And they do have a certain type of debentures. He or she has an option to select any one kind of debenture, or company do not give an option, they sell it in the market according to their needs. So here it has to be mentioned that according to section 230, debenture includes debenture stock, bonds and any other instrument of a company evidencing a debt, whether constituting a charge on assets of the company or not. This much has to be written perfectly in your paper also if the question occurs. Now, next point is it is a document or certificate. You can see that I did not write or I made an apostrophe. So slash I have made that. So you should know that the definition has a special importance. You should be giving a special importance to the definition. In a document certificate which is issued under the common seal of the company, acknowledging its debt to the holder at the given terms and conditions. Debenture holder ultimately gets certain certificates or documents. It assures that you are the debenture holder of the company. In the end, debenture will be paid by the company after a specific period of time or at the end of the company. End of the company means at the time of wind up. So you should be knowing this. In this certificate, there are certain terms and conditions which are being framed by the organization itself. Here, one more point has to be added. The amount of loan, rate of interest and the security offered, if any, are clearly mentioned by the company on that document. In this document, it has been a certain specification. In that specification, they clearly write that whatever the amount you have given to the company. For example, if you give an 1 lakh rupees for a debenture, so 1 lakh rupees will be written on that certificate, and at the rate of interest will also be mentioned as 6%. 6%. Why it has been mentioned over here? I need to make sure that according to the Companies Act, if the shares of interest or dividend is not mentioned in the memorandum of association or article of association, then the company has to take by default 6%. So that's why I have made 6% over there. By default, it has been taken as 6%. Make sure this. If the security offered, if sometimes debenture holders gets hesitated to pay the money or give the money to the company, so they demand certain securities. The securities can be given by the company. If company gives you a security or charge on assets, it is also been mentioned in that certificate. It is considered as a document or a certificate. I hope you have understood the introduction part of debenture or bonds. I have already mentioned all the related points. You can write, if the question is what is debenture, then you can write these points so that you can understand very clearly. If the question asked, define the debentures and bonds, then you can write this definition accordingly. So, this much has been a part of introduction. Now, we are going into the next part considered as features, and we will look out into the another topic known as types. Let's begin. So in this we will study about features of debenture. In this I am having a 6 point and in type I am having 9 points. I'll go quickly and shortly so you can understand easily. Now, first point is borrowed funds. Debenture is ultimately an borrowed funds which are being given by the debenture holder, and at the end of the time they have to be paid by the organization. These debentures are ultimately a debt for the company. Company is using this money and they will make better benefits of that money, and in the end they have to return back this money by the certain interest. As we have studied on the top, the rate of interest has been given to them after a fixed period of time. Now, borrowed funds is also considered as creditors. Debenture holders are also known as creditors because they give you money for the business purpose. Next point is periodic interest payment. All are interlinked, which I have given you in the introduction part. All the points are necessary will be given in features. Now, periodic interest payment. Here the interest has to be paid by the company if they make profit or not. It doesn't matter, but the periodic interest has to be paid regularly for 6 months or 1 year. Be careful with this. Company can pay the money to the debenture holders regularly for 6 months or 1 year till the specific period of time gets over. Next point is compulsory payment of interest. The debenture holders gives you money and taking a huge risk for their benefits, but the company has to pay a certain interest on regular basis, and it is compulsory to pay the interest. If the company makes losses, profit, it doesn't matter, but the payment has to be made to debenture holder. Next point is no voting rights. Debenture holders do not have a voting rights because they are the creditors of the company. They are not involved in decision making. They are not liable to take care of any problem of the company. They are having no rights to vote. Now, next point is redemption of debenture. Redemption means you can redeem that debentures, or it can be converted into different kind of shares also, or you can demand a money back. Redemption ultimately says that you have to take back your money. If I am investing a debenture for 4 years, after 4 years I can demand my debenture money along with the rate of interest at the end of the period, or specific period gets over, or at the end of winding of the company. Winding of the company means company gets closed or shut down. At that time I can demand my debenture money along with interest. If the company doesn't pay, I can take over my assets if it is mentioned in the contract. Contract is that certificate. Now, charge against assets. As one thing has to be asked to you also, and you can also think about this, that if you give a certain loan to certain person which are unknown, then you ultimately demand some certain securities. So this is company also being known or unknown, but if I am investing certain money, so I demand a certain security. That security is considered as charge against assets. If company makes losses, I had to sell that particular asset and gain my money back along with interest. That assets can be a property, machinery, vehicle, lands, whatever. It can be an asset for the organization which can be mortgaged for that particular debenture holder. So this much features are being mentioned. Now we are carry forwarding into types. But make sure that this type you have to write first 6 if the question are being asked. Be careful, you have to write first 6 debentures type that you have to write in the paper if question asked. Write the types of debenture, you have to write top 6, not bottom 3. If bottom 3 has been mentioned, then I'll not make sure that I'll not give a marks also. It is possible that many students what they think, last 3 points are short and simple. We can write in 2 lines, then we can write it. It is completely avoid. You should avoid that. You should write all the 6 points from top to bottom. But if you want to make sure that all points are being covered, then you can add this. This will be add to an advantage to you for writing a paper. Now, first point is secured debenture. What do you mean by secured debenture? If debenture holder wants to buy a secured debenture, he or she needs to have a certain charge against assets. Your company gives you certain assets for raising funds from you for the long period of time. It is considered as secured debenture. If company doesn't pay you a money, you can take care of that assets and sell out in the market and raise your funds from that particular assets. This is considered as secured debenture. It is also known as mortgage debenture. Secured debenture is ultimately also known as mortgage debenture. Next part is unsecured. If secured is taking charge against assets, then unsecured means no charge against assets. If you take unsecured debenture, then you do not have any right to take any asset and sell it in the market. But debenture holders can go in the court and complain against that company that the company didn't pay the money to you as the fixed period of time gets over, or the company has been wind up. That particular person, the CEO or company, has to be paid the money to you, and we can go with that particular rules and regulations of court. Now, next part is registered debenture. In registered debenture, if I am purchasing any debenture, in registered debenture, my name has to be written in the register of the company. Okay, just be clear with this. In registered debenture, company maintains a book in debentures holder's title. In that title, if I am purchasing debenture, they make sure that all entries are been written in their book. If I want to sell out that debenture to any other person, I had to make sure that the transfer deed has to be filled. Transfer deed is an instrument from where you can transfer your debenture from one name to another. Okay. Next point is barrier debenture. In registered, it is clearly said that you have to take transfer deed to transfer your debenture. But in barrier, there is compulsorily said that it cannot be registered. There is no registration maintained. In barrier debenture, you can transfer your debenture to any other person without lettering known by the organization. Next part is convertible, and sixth one is non-convertible. Convertible debentures means at the specific period of time, the time gets over or company gets wind up. But wind up time conversion is not applicable. But after a specific period of time, along with interest and principal amount, company can convert your debenture into equity share or preference share according to the documents which are being mentioned by the company to you. Now, non-convertible ultimately totally opposite of conversion. In non-convertible, company cannot convert your debenture into any other equity share or preference share, but you have to pay the amount after a period of time. The period gets over, you have to pay the money to the debenture holder. Now, first, second and zero. These are the simplest concept and slowest concept. The first debenture, if company makes profit or not, it doesn't matter. But after a year, the first debenture holder gets the first right to get the dividend interest. I am making sure clearly, if I am the first debenture holder, I am having a right to take the first debenture from the company. Debenture interest, not debenture. But in second person gets the benefits of after first, and they get the benefit. First you have to pay the interest rate to the first debenture holder, and then second debenture holder gets benefit. Now last point is zero debenture. Zero debenture is not been interested in interest, but they are more interested in selling the debentures at the higher price. What they do, they buy at 10 rupees as debenture, okay? But in the market, after specific period of time, the debenture rate gets 100. He or she, as an investor, they will sell out and they make a profit. It is considered as zero debenture. Hope so you have understood all the concepts related to debentures and bonds. I have gone with the introduction of debenture and bonds, and features, and then types of debenture. In next lecture, we will carry forward with this topic as merits and demerits, and we will go with the one more topic, loans from financial institute. That's it for today.